Hi, Aim. Thank you.
All right, I guess we'll get started. This is the Raleigh Board of Selectmen meeting for February 7th, 2022. This meeting is being audio and video recorded by Raleigh Community Media. Would you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, everyone. Okay, we'll have a period of public, 5-minute period of public comment for the next 5 minutes. Our first agenda item is a 7 PM appointment with Treasurer Collector Karen Summit to discuss borrowing for the Highway Department truck. At the May 10, 2021 town meeting, Article 10 of the STM approved the purchase of a Highway Department loader and authorized the treasurer to borrow to fund the purpose. Due to the delay in receipt of the loader by the Highway Department, the bill for this was just received. Because it is late in the year and the amount of the borrowing is small, Karen is recommending to pay for this now with an internal borrowing, and then see if there are other capital purchases that will require borrowing, or see if there are other funding sources the town would like to use, such as a capital stabilization account. This would be closed out prior to the fiscal year end. So the board, we need to approve an internal borrowing of $181,750 and to sign the State Division of Local Services internal borrowing report. Karen?
So, I mean, pretty much what you just read is the situation.
Yep.
This just gives us a little bit of flexibility in anything we might do between now and the end of the fiscal year, anything that might come up at the town meeting where we would need to do additional borrowing, or maybe we want to pay for some of this with a different source. It just gives us some flexibility in looking at more things where it's so late in the year. Mm-hmm. So basically, we borrow from ourselves, and then prior to the end of the fiscal year on June 30th, we'll finalize this and pay off this internal borrowing with, whatever we decide between now and then.
Okay.
Basically, Karen, there's no interest charge for borrowing from myself, right?
Correct. Right.
Give your motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion is to approve an internal borrowing of $181,750. Is there a second? Bob, you second?
I'll second it, yes.
Okay, the motion to approve the internal borrowing has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, we have a 7:15 appointment with Mark Tachi of Crossfield Engineering to discuss a town hall mini split heat and air conditioning design as part of the Green Communities Designation Grant. Mark has been working on updating the draft plans for the Mitsubishi or an equivalent system. Mark and Debbie have been working with the light department on confirming that the town can upgrade to a 3-phase electrical power system through the transformer that is located next to the handicap ramp on the town law. Mitsubishi systems need a 3-phase power source. Mark will present nearly complete plans during the meeting. If the board is satisfied with the overall design, we are asking if the board will authorize us to go out to bid once the plans are finalized. It is important for us to get a good price point for the new systems. We are not sure we have enough funds to pay for the system, because we are also using funds for building insulation phase as well.
Mr. Chairman, so Mark is scheduled to be here at 7:15, but we did get from his electrical engineer the supplemental to the packet, Ronald Buer, and there's a cost now to connect for 3-phase. So we have a transformer outside on the lawn next to the handicap ramp.
Yep.
That provides 3-phase to the library. It's not connected to the town, so we will have to connect to the town, have an underground conduit connecting from that transformer into the basement to set up the 3-phase in order to run the kind of system you want, which is a Mitsubishi or equivalent. And it'll be an initial $10,000 for that.
Okay.
And then the updated plans are in your packet. They came in late today. The updated plans that Mark will be going over when he's here. I'm sorry, the scale is small, but it will show the changes that were made based on the discussion from the last meeting.
Okay, so Mark's going to be here, right?
Yes, he was scheduled for 7:15. I think he should probably be on his way.
Okay.
soon.
board, effective immediately. I appreciate having the opportunity to serve and wish the board the very best. I have a motion to approve the resignation with regrets.
David, with regret.
General business number 2, which is a letter of resignation from Housing Authority member Jack Cook. We received a letter from Jack to the town clerk of Rowley. I, Jack L. Cook, wish to resign from the Rowley Housing Authority effective immediately due to health issues.
Give you the motion, Mr. Chairman, with regrets.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion to approve the resignation with regrets has been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Just a
Okay.
comment,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, that I'm the current chair of the Raleigh Housing Authority. Jack has served for many, many years, and we are going to do something in appreciation.
Business number 3, which is to appoint Fire Captain Mark Emery as acting fire chief. Okay, Fire Chief James Broderick is currently out on medical leave. With the implementation of a new staffing schedule and the addition of new career full-time firefighters, the need to have a leader in the department on a daily basis is crucial. Captain Mark Emery has the institutional knowledge and experience to run the department during this time. He has indicated that he would step in to serve the town in this capacity. Does the board wish to vote to appoint him to serve as acting firefighter until Chief Broderick has been cleared by his doctors to return to work?
I'll give it that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Acting fire chief?
It should be
Yep.
fire chief, not
Yeah.
firefighter.
Fire chief.
It's on the
It's a
Okay.
typo, there's a typo in there.
It's a typo.
Where's the typo?
Yeah,
Second.
Acting fire chief, I'm sorry.
Okay, so you're voting, the motion has been made to appoint him as acting fire chief, and then the motion's been second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
You did.
No,
Thought you
No,
did.
You made the
I
motion.
made the motion.
I second.
Oh, you seconded, okay. I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Anything to add, Debbie?
No, that's the correct motion. Should be-
Okay. All right. I'll move on to new business number 1. Discuss budget guidelines and letter to Triton Regional School Committee regarding the proposed FY23 assessment. At last week's meeting, the board discussed sending a letter to the Triton Regional School District Committee offering to set aside half of the town's 2.5% levy and half of new growth. The town's preliminary tax review estimated increases for FY23 are as follows. Our 2.5 levy was $414,821. Our new growth was $389,500 for a total of $804,321. Half of that amount is $402,000, approximate and rounded. Does the board wish to send a letter to Triton asking the school committee and administration to work on setting their FY23 budget based on the town's ability to provide $402,000? We need to keep in mind that these funds are for Triton, and the town expects assessment increases in FY23 from both Whittier Regional School District and Essex Technical Regional High School. We will still need to cover these increases to these schools. Can I have a motion to send a letter to Triton offering $402,000?
I'll give it that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, actions needed by the Board of Selectmen. Vote to approve the FY23 non-union compensation schedule. longevity schedule and non-union EMT and EMD stipends as recommended by the Personal Advisory Committee. So the PAC met and approved a 2% cost of living increase for non-union employees, a $25 increase to the non-union longevity schedule, and a $25 increase to the quarterly EMT and EMD non-union stipends. The non-union longevity schedule has not increased for several years, and there's been no increase to the non-union EMT and EMD stipends. The PAC is requesting the board to approve the FY non-union compensation schedule and the longevity and stipend increases if the budget cuts required as the budget process. If budget cuts are required as the budget process evolves, then the non-union cost of living increase will be revisited. For union wages, we are in the final year of all 3 contracts. Negotiations are just starting on successor agreements. Can I have a motion to approve a 2% cost of living increase for the non-union compensation schedule and increases in the longevity schedule, non-union EMT and EMD stipends?
I'll give you that motion.
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I think that covers everything.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have a vote to adopt the FY '23 budget guidelines. So,
Which guidelines are those?
regarding expenses, if we would just ask that expenses be level funded, though there may be situations where operating budgets need to increase. We know that there's increased costs relating to, fuel and other things. It was number 2 on the actions to be taken.
Okay. Debbie is recommending that department expenses be level funded and that any requested increases be clearly outlined in the issues and options form. We anticipate expense budget to increase due to high inflation. We have seen the cost of gasoline and fuel skyrocket over the past year. Additionally, we need to recognize that some costs are fixed, such as insurance and pension assessments, and therefore necessitate a budget increase. Requests for additional expenses will be prioritized based on the department's need. Can I have a motion to approve that increase?
I'll give you the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll give you a motion, Mr. Chairman, to authorize you to sign the Triton letter on behalf of the board.
Thank you. Any seconds?
Joe seconded.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, new business number 2, discuss Merrimack Valley Transit Authority Board membership and Ring and Ride program. The town has an opportunity now to become active in the Merrimack Valley Regional Transit Authority for the past 20 years. Town officials had been asking to get services from the MVRTA, such as the Ring and Ride program, following a recent inquiry by COA Director Ellie Davis to the new executive director of the MVRTA, Noah Berger. The town now has a pathway to participate in the program. Mr. Berger invited Selectman Bob Snow to a board meeting last week and informed him that Raleigh will be able to participate in the program. While it is unclear as to why the town was not able to participate, it is interesting to see that the Ring and Ride program provides transportation for residents from other towns to the Market Basket and Raleigh train station. The cost appears to be about $2, and the service operates Monday, Saturday. Additionally, Raleigh has a seat on the MVRTA board. The selectmen can vote to appoint a member to the seat. Bob Snow will provide further details about the MVRTA and the Ring and Ride program. Bob?
For the past 30 years, the Merrimack Valley Transit Authority was run by Joe Costanza. He retired, and in the fall, Noah Berger took over as the director. I was the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission. He was invited to come in November, and as chairman, of the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, I got to speak to Noah one-on-one, and he's kind of shaken up the snow globe, might say, okay? And he's reaching out to a number of communities, and at the meeting on the 3rd, was it the 1st, I'm sorry, February 1st, Groveland, Rowley, Newburyport, and Newbury, for the first time, attended one of the meetings. So they've been, and brought them in to be under the Merrimack Valley Transit, Regional Transit Authority. So sitting there, it was very interesting. Like I said, Noah's shaking that snow globe up and wants to really make the authority a little bit different from what it was. So the Ring and Ride program is just one aspect of it. He set up a number of committees the other day. There was a route service committee, a transit subcommittee, also members of the finance committee. So it was really, I think, the first step of a new transit authority up in the valley. But the Ring and Ride program, which goes between the MBTA station and Market Basket, which, and it's a number of communities that the Ring and Ride program provides service for. So I think I really like Noah. I like his ideas and where he wants to put the authority in the future. So sitting there, again, there were 4 new communities sitting there. It's either a selectman or the town administrator to sit on the board. So I got to sit there the other day, but as a non-voting member, because our board has not appointed anybody to the authority to sit on the board. So I would volunteer to sit on it because it kind of overlaps my other duties with the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission, the transportation program. So I would volunteer to be on the...
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to appoint Selectman Snow to that position.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll abstain from that vote. I will come back after next month's meeting and give more information on the Ring and Ride and the expanded services that the authority is going to provide.
Just a quick comment, Mr. Chairman, and to Bob. A few years ago, we had a town resident who could have used that. I know I checked into it at that time and was turned down. I think, Bob, you did at one time, was turned down, so.
Yes.
It's really for disabled, or I assume elderly too, probably, but people able to call and get a ride for essential services like the train or Market Basket to get food. And we've been denied up until now, and I think this is a real valuable program that we definitely want to take part in.
And under the transportation, what is it, Debbie?
The cherry sheet assessment for the MBTA?
Yes.
Yes.
So it's $55,000 were assessed, so this would not take any, the Merrimack Valley Regional Transportation would not take anything more from the town. It would come out of that $55,000 that we're assessed for. So
Okay, so that's already, that's paid
it's
by
paid for.
taking it off the top of the town's state aid. So that's interesting to know. I mean, I've tried to get Ring and Ride in here too.
So
And I was told no, emphatically no, and I was never given a real answer.
And like I said, sitting with, I got to sit with Noah, this is back in November, I think it was, and we got a good talk for at least a half hour. He's very upfront and wants to move the authority in a very different direction. So I had a very good feeling coming away from the meeting. That's all I have. Any questions?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I'll take up new business number 3, which is to discuss an affordable housing trust. As I've indicated before, the planning board is in the process of revising its regulations on inclusionary zoning. As revised, these regulations would allow a small subdivision, say a subdivision that only wanted to build 5 or 7 units, to in lieu of actually constructing the affordable housing housing units, to submit a monetary contribution to satisfy its affordable housing obligation. That's anticipated to be about $10,000. So such a subdivision, 5-unit subdivision, would be required to submit $50,000 to the Affordable Housing Trust. One of the reasons we're doing this is to make the process of submitting these contributions function a little better. Right now, without an affordable housing trust, someone can make an affordable housing contribution, but it has to go to town meeting and be appropriated. You remember we did that with the density bonus payments that came in, that Rob Nixon paid. The same process would have to be followed here. In contrast, anything that, if we have an affordable housing trust, the developer would be able to make the contributions directly to the Affordable Housing Trust. It would not have to go to town meeting. So the Affordable Housing Trust would hold that money in trust. There are costs associated with this change. The statute stipulates that the board of the Affordable Housing Trust is a 5-member board, including at least one member of the Board of Selectmen. It has to meet quarterly, and it has to do an independent audit once a year, so there are certain provisions that we would have to comply with that we don't have to comply with now. I mean, other communities have used this to great effect in promoting affordable housing. So how does the board feel about this?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a valuable tool to have. I know we've kicked around in the past when we've had developers like Nixon. I think the Sullivan property up on Newbury Road gave the town money, and actually because of this, we didn't have a housing trust. It had to go into the general fund, and I'm not sure how we've spent that money. None of it's gone for affordable housing as far as I know.
Yeah.
So this year would designate money to be used only for affordable housing related things. And also I noticed in the packet here, it mentions the fact that we could put some money, in other words, part of the CPC money every year is supposed to be for affordable housing.
Right.
So we could, the town meeting could vote to designate additional funds out of the CPC and finally, after all these years, use it to promote affordable housing. So I think it's a valuable tool, and I think, I don't know if we have to okay it tonight, but at least we should go forward. I kind of read through it, what the attorney told us, and it seems to be, I agree with it anyway, so that's my feeling.
Yeah, this was recommended by that housing production plan. You were involved with that, I think, Dave. Remember, we did several years ago. This is one of the things that was recommended. We never did anything with it. So I think it's just, it's an example of the town becoming more sophisticated and
Well, I know we're talking about, affordable housing up on the Brad Street property,
right.
and, they're not gonna pay for the whole thing or anything, but at least it's a good start towards putting some money to it with that kind of a development in mind. To put some affordable housing into the town. I mean, we all know how real estate prices are skyrocketing, and even affordable housing isn't necessarily affordable for most people, but it's the way the law reads now, and it's the best we can do. So I think we definitely need to take advantage of it
Dave,
in the long term.
Dave, how many affordable units are there in town right now?
It's around 3%, I believe. I don't I'm just using my memory. It's most of the,
It fluctuates because they're building right on Falcon Ridge, so every time you add a non-affordable
Yeah.
housing in, the ratio just changes, so it goes down, down, down.
most of our affordable housing now is the Housing Authority, Depot Way and
There's some
And
units
Plantation.
at Woodside condos.
there's a selected units, condo units.
Raleigh Village Green,
Right.
Chairman Pierce was on the planning board when that happened.
Very few units.
West
though.
Village at Ox Pasture.
So I think
All
it's,
right, we really need to do something about affordable housing.
no, definitely.
Yeah, well, this is a key component of any effective program, I think, but,
And I think you're gonna find in the future, the state, I know this governor, and I assume governors in the future are gonna be very interested in pushing affordable housing. And by having a trust, I think we've got the first step towards being able to receive, maybe some grants, and nothing's on the books now, but I think looking at the future, I think one of the requirements is gonna be to have a housing trust or something similar to be able to get grant money and help from the state on planning, et cetera. So I think it's a valuable tool
yeah.
for the
okay.
future.
All right, so can I have a motion to move forward on this?
I'll give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
All right?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mark Tachi is here.
Mr. Tachi? We're ready for you if you're ready.
So the last time we met, I was going to go back and make some revisions for cost savings measures. And the basement, we're basically not doing anything in. We're keeping the tanks, we're keeping what you have for hot water heat down there. There's 3 areas we couldn't get into, and I'm pretty sure there's heat in them. So I have those marked on the plan. We're going to check those 3 areas out, and it's really not a big deal. You have it on drawing M1. I apologize for not getting the drawings to you sooner. I had a whole set of markups, and I told my guys to hold up on them until we resolve what's going on with the electric, which we'll discuss in a minute. But if we run through the mechanical plans, I took out all that demo. There's very little work in the basement now to clean that up for demo work. And on drawing M2 is the new basement, new work plan. And actually, change the door numbers. This is the first floor new work. So if we start in this is the first floor demo. Okay, so we're taking, if we start in the bathroom over in the corner over here, the bathroom that's adjacent to the stairs going down to the basement, piece of baseboard in there, we're gonna take it out and put in electric. Because my understanding is you're not gonna run the oil-fired boiler much at all. That's just gonna be standby or supplemental heat if you ever need it. So we'll put electric heat in there, and that's gonna be true for several spaces. For the other bathroom directly down the sheet that's adjacent to the corridor, the main corridor coming through by that side door. We're keeping the existing baseboard radiation as much as we can in the offices. We're removing it where there's a conflict with where we're putting a heat pump, a console heat pump on the floor. The solution to keep the baseboard and put the heat pumps exactly where we want them is to go with a high wall heat pump. And I really don't want to see you do that because it just looks awful when the pipes drop down the wall. With the console heat pumps, they sit on the floor. The pipes go in and out, nobody knows that it's even there. So we moved some of the heat pumps to other walls, and I'm comfortable that it's gonna be just fine. Again, I'm not a big fan of the high wall when you have to look at the pipes, and we can't get in those walls. We're gonna just be too deep into the project if we do that. The entry on Main Street there, you have 2 existing baseboard heaters in there off the water system. We're gonna remove those and put in electric heat there. Because again, once you turn off the boilers, you're not gonna have any heat. And everything else is pretty much the same. In the hall off of Deb's office, there's an existing baseboard heater there. We're gonna remove that and put in electric. There's an office in the far corner. If you come out of Deb's office and take a left, I don't know what that office is, or if there's... Oh, so
Office actually for the town.
there's no, there's no
It's a
air
little-
conditioning in there,
No,
and we didn't put
no
any
heat,
in.
no heat in there,
No need?
yeah, no.
Aw,
There's no heat in my office either, full declaration, yeah.
okay,
So, yeah, this,
so we're putting electric heat in there,
okay.
all right? One other thing is, the AC units we discussed last time, these are the through-the-wall, they're like window units, but you cut them through the wall. We're gonna have the mechanical contractor remove them, but I'm having the town patch the wall. I'm trying to save some, you know, they're gonna charge you like $2,000 or $3,000 to patch each location if you do it under a contract. If you have somebody around here that has worked on buildings like this with this type of finish and structure, you know, I think it's gonna be a lot easier. I will include, if you would like me to, patching the wall.
As an alternate, Mark, on the construction documents?
Yeah,
And so that would be, so the selectmen understand, it's that unit that's in the selectman's office over the town seal?
yep, I have it as the town clerk's office, and I have one in the assessor's office.
Okay, and not the one that's in the selectman's office, the AC unit?
I didn't see one in there.
Okay. It's the current air conditioning unit?
Okay. I
Because
will-
we won't need that with the new system, correct?
No, you won't, no.
Okay.
And actually, under green communities, you might have to take it out. We just assumed that you did.
Okay, so you're talking about the two AC units in the town clerk and then in the assessor's office. And I think then we just need to resolve the one that's in the selectman's office that has the pipes that are going to the units that are outside now.
Oh,
They need
okay.
to get ramped.
Yeah,
Selectman's office.
Probably about 15 years old,
Is it really that old?
yeah.
I didn't really look at it. I could tell from the serial numbers probably.
Okay. I thought we just had that replaced or something.
No, well, we replaced, we had to fix the unit that was outside,
Was it the outside unit we had replaced?
yes.
Okay.
But Jack Demento was the one who designed that system years ago for the board. And so it's at least 15 years old.
Hard to believe.
So, in looking at this drawing M3,
Yes,
we're allowing, in the upper left-hand corner, the existing boiler to remain and the existing furnace to remain. The furnace is probably for up here.
those that serve on the second
We're
floor?
gonna allow the heating system that's been used downstairs to remain in place.
Yeah, the existing boiler is gonna remain in place, and the furnaces serving the second floor are gonna remain in place.
Mr. Chairman, the reason why is the cost to demo this is quite expensive, so it's easier to just leave it there and not use it than to demo it under this contract.
We'll be able to demo it in some future time.
Yes,
We could down the road, but we're concerned about the cost, so we discussed at the last meeting to take out demoing the boiler that we're using right now, but I'm really not even sure we can use that as a backup.
No, I think it's.
I had to fill it twice yesterday, and Amy filled it Saturday morning, and I had to come back and fill it Saturday. So we're filling it every day, twice a day. So it's really not, it's not gonna have a long life.
If we don't,
Unless
if
you
we
make
don't
a-
use it on a regular basis, it's just gonna deteriorate even faster, I'm sure.
that's true. And
Yeah.
and I think you mentioned that last
I
time.
just wanna make it,
Yeah, so
it might be worthwhile to look at
we could,
removing it later and use that space.
yeah, we were trying to save money under
I
the
understand.
the grant, and we could do that down the road as a separate, we could hire any contractor and get a price to
Want to do an
remove it.
alternate? We have to be careful on how we number our alternates,
Yes.
you all know that.
'Cause-
But, want to do an alternate to remove the boiler?
I would make it a second alternate. I think the first alternate should be,
Want to do that?
Alternate,
but the priority should be the patching, right?
Patching the wall.
because, yeah, patching the walls and the second alternate, that way we get an estimate of what it would actually cost when the bids come in. To
Yeah. Yeah,
actually
exactly.
remove it at some point.
Okay. So remove boiler will be alternate number 2.
And that'll be just the one boiler.
The one,
The furnace up here will stay.
I keep saying boilers, but
Yeah.
yeah, the one boiler.
Another question, when you say in other words, when that boiler feeds all these steam pipes
We do.
down on the first floor, so we're gonna leave those steam pipes in, is that what at this point?
If we're going to have an alternate to remove the boiler, then we'll include in that alternate, removing the piping.
So that won't, if those units stay, they're not gonna interfere with the units that you're putting in for the AC and the heat?
No, I'm not really doing anything in the basement.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the first floor.
Correct. If the boiler comes out, then all that baseboard that we're keeping in on the first floor, what we're doing now is we're rolling right back into all the costs we were trying to cut out of the job.
Right.
So, but there is, we can say, let's just take out the boiler, and some other time we'll take out the baseboard radiation. The thing with removing the baseboard radiation is once you pull that baseboard off the wall, take the back plate off, we don't know what we're looking at for patching and fixing and repairing, and so,
So the alternate will just remove the boiler
yeah, why don't we do
and
that?
leave the baseboard alone for now?
Yep,
So even if we have enough money, we'll just pull the boiler, and at some future date,
yeah.
we can remove that, if we want to. If we don't need to, we probably don't need to do it anyway, but,
I'm just concerned because the bids have been coming in really high lately,
oh, I'm sure, yeah.
and it's,
Okay, so we'll just leave
crazy.
the alternate one will be to fix the plastering or whatever. Alternate 2 will be to remove the boiler, the first floor boiler from the basement. We'll leave the piping in, I guess, so.
so if we accept all 2, then we have to take alternate 1. If we accept alternate 1, we're good. Right?
Right. My other question
Yes,
is the unit is gonna sit, as you're looking at it outside, it's gonna be to the left of that door going down to the basement.
yep.
It's in the corner. Now, there was a question, somebody brought it up about the fact that snow coming off the roof could
Oh, yeah, so I'm glad you
land on
brought
that
that.
unit.
Yeah,
Do we want to move it out far enough so that it's beyond the drip edge?
so,
Otherwise,
no,
rain's gonna come down on, it's gonna drip off. There's no gutter at that end.
so what we did was, this is an accessory, and this is made for this application. These units go against buildings, and you can't always position the unit to have it on the, where the roof is not pitching down. In most cases, the roof is sloping right towards it. They have an accessory hood that goes on top that prevents ice and snow from smashing it, and so we revised our drawings and revised the elevation we had of the unit, showing that hood. If snow and ice comes down on it, it's just gonna bounce off that thing. And if it really did get damaged at some point, it's not expensive to replace, and it'll still operate dented too,
Okay.
but it shouldn't. It's pretty heavy gauge. And then with that package, you don't really have a choice. You got the snow and ice shields on the side where the air comes in. And so it's just part of the whole package. So, I mean, it makes it look pretty beefy, and it really keeps, if you get a driving snow and rain and ice comes horizontally off the roof, it's all just really well protected. It's a pretty substantial unit by itself, and then when you add this on it, it really stands up.
Okay.
So, and again, we really want to keep it close to the building. Start wandering out in the parking lot and it's gonna just add to the costs, and I'm really trying to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, as long as it's protected, I don't mind it being close to the building. It was just a matter of being beyond the drip edge, but if we put the cover on it, then that'll cover it. And I don't think we get much snow and ice coming off there anyway, because it's a tarred shingle roof. So that the big chunks of snow don't slide off like a slate roof or a metal roof.
Metal roofs, yeah.
It's more or less just the constant dripping of the water as the snow melts up there and the
It's
rain comes
just gonna hit that hood and,
down. Go right off, that's fine.
just
yeah.
like your car.
Oh, very good. I think that's all my questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all set. These just came out of the plotter and they're all sticking together. So M3 is the new first floor that we were just talking about. If you look down in the assessor's office, we had that heat pump on the outside wall. We moved it to the, as you're looking at the plan, to the right-hand wall down by the windows so that we could just abandon the baseboard in place. And we did that in the treasurer and in the office in the corner by the driveway and Main Street. And that it just eliminates that work. The baseboard's there, you don't, at this point, you probably don't even notice it anymore. And then we just discussed the unit out back. I have not shown a fence out there yet. I sent Deb some pictures originally of the Merrimack Police Station that had some fencing. And I know you have fencing over at the police station here. What look am I going for? You know, because I know this is a historical building, I know that elevation is not that precious, but, you know, if you had some ideas of what kind of fence you want me to put around it, it's not gonna be a full lockable fence, it's just a vision shield.
They weren't part of the original contract. We added them later because of they look lousy.
They did.
But that's gonna be tucked in the corner. We may need just one on the side, but I think we can do that ourselves later rather than have it. I mean, right now, I think if we just put that one unit in there, that's gonna be about 6 or 8 feet high, is that?
Yeah, it's gonna be 8 feet now. You have to have an 18-inch stand, and then you have a 6-foot unit, and then a 30-inch, so it's closer to 9 feet. I have an elevation of it.
Okay, 'cause I mean, when I go by in through Essex, their new police and fire has these units with looks like it has a hood on it.
Yeah.
And, no, that's pretty well, and it's right next to the bulkhead going downstairs, so I don't think it's gonna be,
No, and actually, this one's
it's
10.
not gonna block any windows or anything like that, so.
Nope, it's just over by that old toilet exhaust fan, which we're gonna keep in place.
It's on M4, right?
Yeah, M4. I think once we get it in there, if it looks ugly, we'll add a fence.
We'll do something with it.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, it's, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, so it's gonna bother some people, but not others.
yeah, I think if we look at eventually putting a lattice or a picket type fence or something similar to what we got over the police station, it pretty
Yep.
well covers the units. You're looking at the fence rather than
You don't want part of this contract.
the what?
You don't want this part of the contract.
Oh, we can put it in.
No, it's up to you. Well, he's trying to get some guidance for the
All right, why don't
specs.
you put it in? It can't be a big expense anyway.
No,
So what kind of fence then do you want? A picket or how?
Yeah, I don't want the lattice like we got underneath the handicap ramp, but I
Do you,
think like a
do you want
picket-
what they have at the police station?
I can't remember exactly what they got there, but
I forget too, I just drove by it. So I will research that, and I'll send you
Okay,
the pictures of the Merrimack one as well.
Yeah, and I,
This is a tall unit, so it'd be nice to keep it open 2 feet on the bottom, so you have a rail, because the unit is open on the bottom. So if you look through that opening, you don't see anything, it's just the opening from the stand.
Right.
Because we hike it off the ground for snow load. And I had given Deb the picture, and I still have it on my phone. I left my phone in the car. So there are no...
Whatever we got at the police and fire would be good. I mean, they're relatively attractive in terms of, as attractive as they can be without being gaudy looking or,
Okay.
you know, I think that's a good idea. Just on the one side, just on the, not, we don't need it in the back, I don't. Do you think we need it in the back too? I'm more concerned about what it looks like from the street or,
I think once you start putting in the posts, it's not twice as much to put in twice as much fence. You know, once you start the job and you make it integral to the big job, I think it would be cheaper maybe to do it all at once rather than going back later and
well,
trying
would
to
you have
match.
a gate there or something to get access?
So typically, the side on the driveway, I would leave that open and just shield the piece going towards the parking lot. Because the driveway side is the thinner side of the unit. But we could put a gate there.
Yeah, I think the driveway side should be, I think that's more visible from the street
Yeah.
and from the cemetery, for instance. So I think we want both sides covered, and
Yep.
however you want to do the door on either side is, I don't think is important to us enough, but I would take a look at the police and fire.
I'm gonna leave
We
that
can
up.
send you a picture of that if you need it, just something similar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. I'm gonna have my guys come up with something interesting.
Okay. That'll be white vinyl or plastic, whatever.
White vinyl. So, and we'll send a couple ideas.
Yeah, I think on the M4 drawing, on the upper right-hand corner, I think that kind of shows the height,
Yeah, 10-4.
so it'll be fairly high there, so.
Yep.
I don't know, how high would you make the fence, 6 foot? And I don't think we need to go up all the way to,
Yeah, so instead of like 6-foot sections, we'd reduce the number of sections and increase the amount of posts.
oh, but I mean, how high?
Well, probably go to 9 feet. I think it's gonna, if you get the bulk of it covered and then just that little hood part of it sticking up, it's probably gonna look better than if you start going up 10, 11 feet.
Yeah, if you go up too high, it's gonna be,
Yeah, and plus, so now this blows horizontally out towards the fence, so I don't wanna, I don't wanna shield the front of this unit that high because it has to breathe up there,
okay.
right?
Use your best judgment.
So I'll put I think a 5-foot gate, so 230s, to be able to open it up, get full service on that side.
I know I said it was all done asking questions, but I got another one. Sorry.
No, it's good.
You're talking about electric heat units in some of the smaller spaces.
Yep,
That's just, those are just regular baseboard electric heat?
that's it.
So I mean, how much is that gonna increase the so-called savings we get from?
I haven't talked to, I just wrote him an email and I forget his name, the fellow at Green Communities. Neil, yeah, Neil Duffy. I'm gonna run this by him that we're putting the electric heat in. I really wanted to get things resolved and get my reasoning in place before I went to him and said, you know, along the way, this is what we're doing. Now, this is what we're doing, and I'll talk to him and see what he thinks about the electric.
So in the
heat.
hallway, are we putting electric heat, or that's gonna be a unit?
No, we have a single heat pump in the hallway near the driveway side door,
Okay,
and then it should condition that hall fine. The other end, there's an airlock where the door is going outside,
right.
so that's, and those outside doors probably breathe and ventilate well, and they're set back, so the solar is minimum on them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the schedules are, I don't know if anybody has questions on the equipment schedules and the diagram of the system. I haven't really selected the level of control. There's different levels of control that you can have. They can get very expensive. Sometimes you write things or you take pieces of their spec and put them in and you end up with some expensive components. What I'm thinking is that you'll have a controller that you can plug your laptop into. I don't think I'm gonna go Wi-Fi, because then from there you get a bunch of things you pay for that maybe you wouldn't use. And then later, when the town has a global control system, if I buy all those expensive components now, when you have your global control system, all you're really gonna need is a single module. You're not gonna need all that other stuff. So I think I'm just gonna have a panel with a digital display and keyboard, and then it will also have a USB where you can plug your laptop in. A lot of people put a little shelf beside it, and you know, one of the maintenance people could have a program on his computer to tap into it and use his keyboard rather than the finger press keypad. And so that's as far as I would go with it. Just like, you know, again, trying to keep the cost down. Next step, oh,
For us, the board, what do we need to approve or?
There's a couple of things you could do tonight, and the last part that Mr. Chachi was going to discuss was the need for the upgrade for the electrical to this building in order to operate this system. So we have additional costs for the design of this connection. It's in your packet. This was a late addition to your meeting packet. So Mark Chachi's consulting electrical engineer, Ron Buer, he's given us a price to design the plans to connect for the three-phase to the transformer. As I described earlier in the meeting, we have to have a conduit that connects from the transformer underground and into this.
is everybody up to speed on what we're doing? When I first started the project, I saw the transformer out there and I assumed you had three-phase power. I was trying to keep my electrical engineer's price down, and I had the impression that new electric was brought in, and with that transformer there, why wouldn't you bring three-phase in? I figured, well, Ron will just handle it when I get him involved. So typically what I do is I get all my loads done, and then, you know, I don't take them through all the changes, you know, month by month in conversations I have with the town. Give it to him in the end. And so he came out here and all single phase. The only reputable manufacturer that has single phase equipment of this size is Carrier. So you're pigeonholed into that one vendor. We can't do that for public work unless you get some type of proprietary temporary proprietary, you know, allowance to just use Carrier. I would do that if it was another product. I like Carrier, it's Toshiba, but it's not worth doing that to get single phase power when you have that transformer out there. So we'll still let them use Carrier, but you really need to bring three-phase power in.
It would be cheaper at three-phase, using three-phase instead of single-phase.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. So if you have 100 amps of three-phase, of single-phase, it's going to be 50 amps of three-phase. So you just cut it in half. So Ron met with the electric light department, and they went through the loads on the transformer, and I think it's only using, the library's only using like 25% of it, or 30%. So there's plenty of load in that. There was a discussion that Matt Brown had with me about the age of the transformer, why tie into it, because it's going to have to be replaced. I respect what they're saying, but to us, you know, 20 years old for a transformer isn't that old, or 22 years, whenever it was put in. So I think, you know, they're gonna allow us to just tap into it. It's not overloaded, it's never worked hard because it doesn't have much load on it. So we're gonna go ahead with the design and we'll go meet with the fellows at Electric Light and I'm sure it's gonna be fine, but it's gonna come underground. It's gonna come
Is there
underground.
enough room in that conduit to bring it in?
Yep,
Brand new conduit we gotta put in?
That unit isn't connected to this building at all, is it?
I'm sorry?
That unit is not connected to this building at all.
Not now.
It all goes to the library, so we have to put it underground, underneath the ramp, over to the basement, and then put a panel inside the basement to handle it.
How
right?
many feet we got?
That's what I gather from talking to Matt Brown.
Yeah, not far.
Yeah,
How
so,
much, Dave, how many feet we have to dig?
maybe 12 or 15, it's not,
Oh, that's not bad.
I was gonna
maybe
get
20, maybe 20 feet, but, you know, it's running the pipe under it. It's the only way to do it, either that or you gotta do it through the air, we don't want to
It's
do
a,
that.
it's a larger Bobcat with a track, it's not a big giant. And, you know, naturally,
I think one of the things we want to do is get prices ASAP, so that at town meeting, if we need to ask for additional funds from the town to do this, I mean, we don't want to get to July or August and find out that, oh, we're
so Krista
25,000 short, now everything comes to a grinding halt.
in Ron's office will start this immediately.
Okay,
When I had them do the first, they had it done in a week. And then we started discovering that we were missing opportunities not going three-phase.
right.
So I had them hold up and had my guys hold up, and I figured I'd talk with you.
So speed is kind of the essence here in terms of giving us prices so that, estimation, so we can, if we need more money, which we think we will, but,
We'll need authorization tonight for this,
right.
Yeah.
And
for the three-phase electrical engineering design
that's
plan.
10,000, right?
Because that has to go out to bid. That would be part of the, Mark, would this be part of the project, or am I gonna go out separately for?
No, this will be part of the project.
Okay, so the company that's gonna get the contract will do the electrical work to the conduit, through the conduit to the transformer?
Yes,
Okay, so it'll be a bit under one contract, but
Okay.
we need engineering design services through Crossfield Engineering for this new work to be included with this package here that you
So if I
already
give you a
have.
motion to approve 10,000 for the engineering design, electrical design, that,
Yes,
we're good?
based on what we
Yep.
have
Based on
here.
the estimate we've gotten from Ron Buse?
I'm not gonna raise those prices. The way it works is Ron and I work together like I'm in his company and he's in mine. We've been doing this for years, so when, and we have several partners that we work with, like if it's fire protection. Our primary is HVAC and plumbing. Fire protection, it's tough for engineers now because all the contractors do it themselves. With the electrical, I partner with Ron or another fella in Worcester, but it's more convenient for Ron because he's from this area. So I'm not going to raise that price. I'll just, I'll bill you because he's going to work through me, not through the town.
$10,000 for electrical service?
I'll second that motion.
So Debbie wants a vote to get this out to bid, price point for the new system, so,
Well, we need to design,
Can the board vote on just this additional work for Crossfield on the three-phase? And then if you want to take the other vote, that's fine.
in other words, we need to have the thing designed before we go out to bid to actually
Right.
construct it. So this is what, the 10,000 goes towards the design work.
okay.
It's part of your project, and then the actual bid for constructing it will be part of the big project, right? This is just a preliminary to get this thing rolling.
Yep, so I'll just have some E-drawings, which I have now. I didn't bring them with me because they're really no good anymore. We're trying to do it single phase.
Right.
So I'll have like E1, 2, and 3. You'll have a little site plan showing that corner, be a park site plan. And he'll have a diagram showing the transformer, the wiring, backfeeding the existing panels. So it's, I kind of just include, well, not kind of, I included the electrical originally in my quote to you. and I was gonna do the construction phase on the supervision myself for the electrical. This is a little across the line for me. I know what I can do and what I can't do. So a new service in that, I really need Ron for supervision. So it's $8,000 for the design and $2,000 for construction phase services. And that'll just roll into my,
It is what it is, we want it done right, so I think
yeah, that's,
it's money well spent.
I think I'm more comfortable doing it with a professional
too.
design. Yeah,
No, we recognize our own limitations, and
yep,
this is one of those cases where this is a big project in terms of what the town's spending for this building. I just think it's,
and there's shortcuts that can be made, the contractors may do that I wouldn't be able to recognize. Ron would see it in a second.
no, we need someone.
So I really, really need him on this.
Dave and a second by Joe to approve the additional work on the electrical. This was the late addition to the meeting
Right.
packet, but there was no vote taken on that.
So this vote would authorize
This additional work.
this addition to the contract.
Yeah. Okay, it's been made and seconded?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? You guys have it?
And then I had, originally in the package, just because of timing, if the board felt comfortable tonight with what they heard from Mark and the new developments regarding the connection to the three-phase, if the board, so inclined, wanted to give us authorization to go out to bid once everything's been finalized, or would you like to review at a subsequent meeting, so we have a meeting on the 14th and on the 28th, the final draft?
Correct.
And maybe you really want to look at that, I'm gathering from tonight, but it's up to the board. I wasn't sure, when I was working on this last week, I wasn't sure about what was coming in, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
We will certainly get you the drafts if there's any question.
Right.
I think because Mark and I and Natalie will go through and make sure we've got everything done, in terms of
So we'll come back on the 28th?
existing conditions and,
In other words, we're giving you
On the
permission
14th or the 28th,
Okay.
to draft up the bid.
which would be more convenient for you, 14 or 28?
So
well, you're not going to be here the 14th.
I have a medical procedure coming up, and it's gonna take me out for a week or so, and so
Okay.
that's the 14th. And so I'll be, at least out to the 21st is a Friday, so I'll probably be back at work at the 24th, if all goes well, which I'm sure it will.
Okay.
Don't leave us in the middle.
So we'll put you on the agenda for the 28th,
28th,
right?
Okay, so we should, Mark, by then have a final draft, right?
oh yeah, so
You want to make that one?
these are almost complete. I just
Yeah.
have to have the, Ron come back and revise the electric plans that we had, and he's gotta put a little more detail on your existing panels, because now we're backfeeding them, so we have to be careful. So 28th, that should be good.
It's, the only concern I have is that with town meeting, the idea was that we would either go out to bid or go through the state contract to get a vendor to give us a price for this. And
Joe, we don't need to make a motion for this. We just
my concern is that if I need additional funds at town meeting, I'm not going to know what that dollar amount is.
No, we need to know.
Because don't forget, part of the Green Communities is the building envelope.
Right.
And that was directed to us by the state because of the lack of insulation in this building. So that is estimated to be about $30,000. And that's currently out right now. We're getting pricing on that right now.
Yep.
So I'm concerned that the system now with the three-phase connection, it's going to, we're not going to have enough
Yeah, I agree with
grant
you.
money left.
No, it's important that we know what we're gonna need.
And the boiler
gonna
is
need
failing.
additional money.
The boiler is failing.
Right. Oh, yeah, no, we absolutely
We
need
can
it.
get through this winter if, through a team effort in the office of continually maintaining it, but it's not going to last next
No,
year.
we're gonna be lucky if we get through the winter.
Yeah.
based on that, yeah. So you need authorization? to
Well,
do
I
that?
I was hoping if you felt comfortable, but if you're not, you know,
No, I feel comfortable.
we'll get you the plans. I think if you can get them to me next
Yeah.
week before you have surgery, I can at least let them know. And if they feel they want to, you know, bring you back on the 28th, then we can.
Yep.
My goal was to try to get out to bid or go through the state contract in February.
Yep.
So I can get a decent price, because I think any vendor is going to want to come in and walk the building and,
Yeah, spring work, summer work, they might be a little hungrier than they have been.
okay. I was
so-
afraid it would be
Yeah.
tough to get somebody interested, but,
Yeah, we had one piece of equipment, it was a cooling tower that was quoted in 2019, and we got a price last week. It went up $45,000. You know, it went up from like 110 to 155. So that's why tonight I'm being very cautious about, you know, letting you know that it's a crazy.
Yep.
So Debbie, you need authorization to,
if the board is okay to authorize Mark to complete everything, well, once it's complete, we'll send it to you and give you a few days to get back to me. And if there's a lot of questions from the board members, then I'm going to put everything on hold. If we can clarify some things and you don't have a lot of issues, then we're going to issue a competitive bid or go through the state contract to get a company to give us a price.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think we're set.
Okay,
You need a motion?
yes.
I'll give you the motion to
Okay.
authorize you to do that.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it.
Okay. Well, Bernie's got a question.
Yes, Greg.
One question, one concern. This is an area I know very
Bernie, you gotta go to the microphone.
There you go.
So this is an area I know very little about, but I have been in new buildings and where they put on the, where they engineered the HVAC system, and it's taken 1 or 2 years to shake that system down so that the occupiers are comfortable with the way the system is operating. So it sounds to me like you're putting in a new system, and so I'd be concerned about how much, who owns responsibility for making sure that the system works the way the residents, the occupiers, you guys, want it to operate, and what are the kind of warranties basically on the system performing to your expectations.
I mean, we don't accept the system until it operates
Correct. So,
properly.
Oh, I understand
And it
that,
may
but
be-
you won't know how it operates and
No.
through the first 2 or 3 seasons.
Bernie, what we did in the police and fire was, I mean, the first 2 years, we had some issues, and the company came back and made the adjustments in the unit, so I mean,
Okay, well, that's what I'm basically
That's
asking,
what
that's part of the
yeah, I
agreement.
mean, there's
part of
gonna
the
be
contract.
a year from now, this next winter, we may have some issues, or even during, I don't know if it'll be in time for the summer air conditioning, but, yeah, there's gonna be some, issues. You know, when you work in these buildings, the treasurer's too cold, the assessor's too hot, those are kind of things that we're just gonna have to work through, and if the system is designed correctly, and installed correctly, we can work them out. It may
So,
take a little trial and
but
error.
who owns, I mean, with the new building, it's kind of clear that the general contractor basically has signed on for that entire ball of wax. Is that true? Do you own responsibility for it, or is somebody else?
I own limited responsibility, the things that I can do. Let me just explain how it works. When we get to the end of construction, it's going to be commissioned by a licensed commissioning agent. And that agent, basically, that sounds like a real important title. It's going to be somebody from Mitsubishi to start the systems up, make sure everything operates properly. The contractor is responsible for instruction periods. That's what they did down at the police station. They did like 6 of them down there because that system, what we're putting in here doesn't even compare to that. The system there we used because we were trying to save $200,000, which we did, but you get what you pay for. This system it's a beautiful system, it works perfectly. Yeah, there's a learning curve with controls, there always is. You know, it's not gonna be the round dial thermostat. It's gonna have occupied, unoccupied cycles, it's gonna have overrides, but it's gonna do a lot of functions that you don't need also. It's gonna have a calendar right in it, it's gonna know when it's Christmas, it's gonna know. So the contractor owns it for a year, answering all your questions, doing all your repairs, additional instruction that you would need. Some people are fast learners, and some people think it's complicated, so it takes a little more time, which is fine. But that's the best that we can do. Compressors are guaranteed for an additional 5 years. I've never seen a compressor blow on these since I've been doing this. I've seen other products, but not the Mitsubishi. And it's just a reliable piece of equipment, and we use them all the time. And they've somewhat not gotten greedy. Since everybody uses them, typically if you're the leader, you start getting greedy. They're still pretty competitive, and they're not gouging during these times right now when everybody else is. But you're paying more in the first place because it's a superior product, in my experience and in my opinion. So you raise a good point, because a lot of times there's a lot of infighting about people not knowing how to use the system, and we will take the measures to help, guide you with the operation of the system. But I think you're going to find it somewhat simple, as simple as we can make it. And that's why I was talking about the controller before. Not going crazy with all this stuff, just thermostats, but with this level of a system, you need them to all talk to a central location, because they're all daisy-chained together. Because what happens if you have units heating and you have units cooling, you transfer the energy from one to the other, so you're almost getting one of the cycles for free. So I can't dumb the system down too much, because at that level, you've got to be able to talk, electronically. But we can make it user-friendly. They have products.
No, we have faith in you.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We have faith in you, so,
Oh, good, good.
I mean, we hired you to design this whole thing, so, you're the man.
Yeah, so, and I'm comfortable where we are. I like revising plans because it means that you have questions and I'm addressing them. So if there's something you see that you don't want, or something somebody else has that you do want, let us know. We'll talk and either put it in or not put it in.
As we know, at the police station, we've had some issues with the units, but that was another case of half the building is an old building and half the building is a new building. And getting all those things to work together, old and new, has been a problem. Here, it's all an old building, so the whole thing should work right from the beginning. Other than just minor, like I say, so one person's cold, one person's hot, but.
And even beyond the contractor, Mitsubishi is here in Massachusetts.
Right.
They don't want people to not like their product. They've got a lot of muscle. They're the ones that pretty much came up with inverter-type compressors and the VRF. They paid for all the science, and everybody just kind of coattailed them and started producing, after the patent, whatever, expired, or they have an amount of time that other competitors can start copying them. So, but they've been the leader, and they really don't abandon anybody. Even higher over at the police station, those are equipment, those are manufacturer problems. But the contractor, it's 2 years later, he doesn't have to come back, but he does. He's a public contractor, and he doesn't, so that's what they do. Whoever we get here, they're gonna do the same thing. If in 2 years you're like, hey, this broke, and we'll come back, you might have to pay for the parts. but they'll still come back.
Well, with the higher units, we actually had to bring in, or they had to bring in engineers from China
Yeah,
to straighten out the initial problems with the police station especially.
so I was partially responsible for that, and that is still going on. I told Emerson Swan, who's a great distributor representative, I told them that we really can't talk about that anymore till they bring those people back from China. It was hard, there was somewhat of a language barrier, but they really knew what we were saying. You know, when we would explain a problem, they knew why, and they knew there's dip switches in there, and there's all these funky things.
Well, it's a live and learn thing, and I think we're learning from that previous project what we don't want to do here, so that's why it's important for us to do the Mitsubishi, do it a quality unit.
Yeah, and
Makes all the difference in the world.
well, Hire came to me a couple of weeks ago. They now have a similar product to this, and I told Timmy, I said, we love you guys, but, you know, I can't do it again. So, all right, so we're gonna have alternate 1, alternate 2. I'm gonna have the electrical do his thing. He'll be coming back. My guy that works on this, we're engineers in Florida too, so he's down in Fort Lauderdale. He'll be coming up for a couple of weeks now that he used to come up all the time, like 4 times a year for a couple of weeks, and he's been with me for 30 years, so when I'm away, he's gonna kind of take the wheel, and he'll be up here, and he's gonna visit all the buildings that we have going on. This will be one of them. All right?
Thank you.
Very welcome. Nice seeing you all.
Hope things go well for you.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Deb, I'll be in touch, and can you send me what your header and footer is gonna look like on the specs? You're gonna do the front end, right?
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We haven't started it yet, though.
Okay. I'm gonna just fudge something together. I want you to see the boilerplate I'm gonna use for the
Okay.
upfront.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a GC, the contractor, the mechanical contractor will be the prime contractor,
Okay,
and the electrical will be a sub to him.
okay.
I don't think we're gonna have any sub-subs, so,
We don't need any filed sub bids or anything like that.
I'm sorry?
We won't be doing filed sub bids or anything like that.
No, I don't, no, there'll be one, the electrical.
Okay, so that will be a filed sub bid on
Yeah.
this? Okay, because that's gonna take some time if we go to the state, if we go on a state contract.
Is there a way, is there a dollar value where?
So maybe
I
we
can
could talk
combine
about, can we
the-
talk about this tomorrow then? And we
Yeah,
can
let's do
kind of go
that.
through the details on the bidding?
Yeah.
And the state? Okay,
I'll be in the office all day,
okay,
all right?
all right, thanks.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
These projects always have a few nuts and bolts that don't quite fit, and, it'll be
Especially heating.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it'll be a learning process for the other departments when we get the whole thing in, and everybody's trying to figure out what their options won't be too hot, too cold, so. It'll
Okay,
be
Deb, we're
interesting.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'll move on to old business number 1, discuss streetlight request from Jeff Wynn at the corner of Rogers Way and 465 Main Street. We've gotten an email from Jeff Wynn saying he'd like to withdraw his request for a streetlight to replace at Rogers Way and Main Street. I spoke with RMLP and learned that I can pay them a small monthly fee and have a light installed. Please thank the board members for their time and discussion of this issue. I know the board has other and more important issues to consider. Okay, I guess we can move on.
Very good.
Move on to business number 2. Discuss replacement of Bay State Textiles recycling receptacle at the annex. The board voted last week to join the Bay State Textiles Recycling Program, place a textile recycling receptacle at the annex back parking lot. We have since discovered that the Friends of Rowley Council on Aging has a similar recycling receptacle located in the exact location where the board wants to plan the Bay States textiles recycling bid. We have confirmed with COA Director Ellie Davis that this bin is not associated with the Council on Aging or department. We looked through meeting minutes and official action notices and found on January 7, 2019, the board voted to approve the following request. For the Friends to place a collection receptacle at the Town Hall Annex facing for the purpose of participating in recycling fundraiser. Debbie's trying to set up the installation of the Bay State textiles bin. How does the board wish to proceed? Well, they've got to remove that recycling bid, right? Is there,
Well, it's in a location where you voted last week to
Right.
place the town bin. So I don't know what you want to do. I don't.
I think, Mr. Chairman, we should send a letter or a note or an email to the Friends of the COA, advise them that they need to remove that bin within a certain amount of time, 2
Yep.
weeks. I would say 2 weeks. If not, we will remove it and put it over at the highway barn,
yep,
and they can collect it. I think we need to do this sooner rather than later. I'd give them 2, maybe 3 weeks at the most.
yep,
If they have a problem with that, they can get back to us and get a little additional time, but I think we need to put a time frame on it. I mean, they were okay for April to October of 2019, so that's 3 years ago,
yep.
or 2.5, 2 years ago plus. So I think it's time that they either take care of it, get rid of it, or we'll move it over to the highway, have the highway department use their loader to, gently pick it up and move it to the highway barn, where the company that owns it can pick it up from there.
Good idea, Dave.
Yeah, maybe all they need to do is request the people who installed that receptacle to come
Yeah.
move it, probably.
Exactly.
Okay, Debbie?
Okay, so will the board be voting on that, or?
Yeah, I made
Okay.
I'm doing that in the form of a motion.
Any seconds?
I'll second.
The motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. Next, old business number 3, discuss plastic bag reduction bylaw. The board reviewed a draft of the plastic bag restriction general bylaw during the October 25th, 2021 meeting that was written by Chairman Pierce. I didn't really write it, I took it from other bylaws, but the board agreed to go forward with having this bylaw on the town meeting warrant. The board asked Debbie to send a copy to the manager of Rowley Market Basket Store, asking if he had any comments or feedback. Debbie sent a letter on November 4th, 2021. We didn't get any response from that letter. Town council recently has just reviewed the draft and made some editorial changes, attaches the version from Tom Mullen. So if everyone's in agreement, I'd like to place town council's draft on the town meeting warrant. I'd like to raise a question of when we're going to hold an informational hearing or some kind of a public hearing on the bylaw. I think one of the ways we can do this is to put it on the informational hearing where we do all the warrants on the town meeting and this will give us something to talk about, so we could do that at that time, right?
I think that's a good time to do it.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
I'll give you the motion to place it
Okay.
on the town warrant.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, well, that's settled. Old business number 4, discuss mask face covering policy for town offices. On January 10th, 2022, the board voted to establish the following policy due to rising COVID cases in town. In response to the rapidly rising number of COVID cases in town, effective immediately, mask face coverings are required in town offices and buildings. All visitors to town offices and buildings are required to wear mask face coverings at all times except for small children or those with health and respiratory issues. Employees are required to wear a mask face covering at all times except for when they are alone at their workstation desk. This policy will remain in effect until further notice. COVID numbers have rapidly declined in this area. As of February 1, 2022, we only had 14 active cases. So I thought it might be a good time to discuss the mask face covering policy with the board and see when the policy should be lifted or changed.
A couple of towns rescinded their mask wearing, haven't
Yeah.
they?
Bob, we
Today.
can't hear you.
Wasn't there a couple of towns that rescinded their mask covering just today, wasn't it? I heard on the news.
Yeah, there may be some things on the news I've seen, but I haven't read anything official,
Mr. Chairman, maybe if we continue this for a week, we'll have a continued idea of how cases are going, and if possible, if either Frank or the chairman of the Board of Health could come in and give us we haven't had an update in quite a lengthy period of time.
No.
And give us an update, and if it's still going positive at that time, I think we can probably relax the mask requirements, but.
So you're saying we should continue to the next meeting, next Monday?
Yeah, we're meeting again next week, right, so?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest, I don't know what the board wants to do, but
No, I
that's.
think it's a good idea, and have Charlie Costello come in.
Yeah,
and
it's
give
been a
us-
while since we've been updated as to the caseload and what the highs and lows were and where things are going, and
We schedule the health director to come into next week's meeting?
either Frank or Charlie, the chairman of the board, doesn't matter, they'll both of them to come if they
Okay.
want, but.
And I think,
Okay?
I
Yes,
think things are
we'll
gonna
schedule
change
them.
dramatically in the next week or so.
Yeah, I think everything's going, in the last few weeks have been going in the right direction,
Yeah.
so I think
No doubt.
it would be good to
Yeah.
get an update, and then we can vote on a change next week if that seems
Okay.
the responsible thing to do.
Okay, all right, so we'll defer it until Monday. Okay, announcement, there is a vacancy on
Minutes, Mr. Chairman.
the minutes of January 31.
I'll give you a motion for the minutes of January 1, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
The motion to approve the minutes has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Okay, announcement. There is a vacancies on the Council on Aging Board. Interested residents should send a letter of interest to the Board of Selectmen by February 11, 2022. For more information, please call the Selectmen's office. There's also a vacancy on the Board of Registrars. Interested residents should send a letter of interest to the Board of Selectmen by February 18, 2022. For more information, please contact the Selectmen's office, and I'll add another office. We just announcement. We just discussed tonight the need for establishing a affordable housing trust fund in town. That's going to require 5 members, so we're going to need volunteers for that, for those positions as well. Anyone's got an interest in promoting affordable housing should contact the Selectmen's office.
Until town meeting, right,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
After town meeting.
after town meeting.
Approve that
Yeah.
bylaw.
And we will be posting an opening on the Raleigh Housing Authority.
Okay. Yep. The Ipswich Raleigh Rotary is holding an informational public meeting on February 9. Is that needed?
Well, due to the COVID cases going up, the Ipswich Raleigh Rotary felt that it was not a good time to have it at the Raleigh Library, so they canceled for this Wednesday night. So it will probably be in about 2 months, they'll probably have a meeting at the library when things are a little bit better. So
Okay, we'll have another announcement.
we'll have another announcement. But again, it's been canceled
Okay,
for Raleigh, Ipswich Rotary at the library this Wednesday. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Bob. A motion to adjourn is in order?
Mr. Chairman, I just make, part of the announcements, I just want to thank Bob Breaker, I believe Bob Snow, and Rick McDonald. Removed all the wreaths from the cemetery for the Wreaths Across America this past week or a week ago. And so those cemetery bits, because I've had a couple of people say, where did the wreaths go? And they've been picked up by the veterans, basically the veterans group, because they served their purpose for Christmas, the Wreaths Across America.
It took us, the 3 of us, it took us about an hour and a half to pick
Yeah.
all the wreaths up and everything else. It was kind of like a history lesson, walking through and reading the names of some of the soldiers and
just-
airmen and,
Just to add my own words, since I've been chairman of the cemetery commission, dealing with people, there's There's so many stories over in that cemetery. It's just, every family you run into that's burying somebody or is putting flowers on graves over there, they have a story to tell.
Yep.
And it's fascinating. People don't realize how interesting it is, so,
It really is a history lesson to walk through.
yes, it
there.
is.
I'll give you that motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second, Joe? Okay, motion's been made and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. We are adjourned.
Good night, everybody.